Gracie, take it away. Thank you very much.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Thanks for introducing yourself in the chat. It looks like we have a great group here today with some groups, some one-on-one, and some different ages even. So thanks for spending your Saturday morning with us. So I work at Intercambio. Like Allison said, I'm a volunteer manager there. And just a little about us, we started in 2001. In 2006, we developed our own curriculum. And just to give you an idea of where we're at today, this is going to be our 20th anniversary. And last year we had about 560 students, and we used volunteers to teach our classes. So we had about 200 volunteers last year. And then we have some national partners who use our curriculum or pieces of it. And there's about 500 of them. Because we work with volunteers, we really emphasize using best practices, but putting it in really easy language so it's accessible for everyone. And we really like to focus on that mutual exchange that happens between teachers and learners, where yes, the teacher's teaching English, they're teaching about American culture, but they're also learning from their students about their home country and their personal life experiences. That's one of the nice things about teaching adults. They come with so much experience that we can really learn from. And we really want to build those relationships across the community between our students and our natives. Okay, so here's what we're talking about today. Pronunciation is a challenge, and we'll talk about why. You probably know why, but we'll cover it anyway. Then we'll practice some vowels and consonant practice and tools, and then just some fun everyday tools you can use for pronunciation. I'm going to put this link to a survey in the chat, and if you respond to that, we'll send you a copy of this presentation. All right, so pronunciation, we always think about those 4 language skills, right? Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And pronunciation is really a part of speaking, but it's such an important part that we like to emphasize it separately. So as you know, we've probably all had that student who's got the confidence, they've got the vocabulary, they've more or less got the grammar, but they're talking and they're just not being understood. And so it's really a matter of that pronunciation to help them be understood when they're speaking. And this really helps build our students' confidence, and it's really important to our learners. They really want to know that they're saying something correctly. So I just want to take a brief moment to talk about what the goals of pronunciation practice are. And the first is that they're being understood. It's not that they speak perfectly or have an American accent. It's really that when they speak in the community, wherever they are, they can be understood. We also want to help them to make sure they're keeping it appropriate, right? There's some things like beach or sheet that if mispronounced can be offensive to the listener. And so we definitely want to always be correcting those types of errors. And then finally, what we really want to do with our pronunciation and our goal is for our students to gain confidence. When they know that they're saying something correctly, they're going to be more apt to use that English they're learning in the classroom out in the community, right? Because they're going to be understood. There's nothing kind of more demoralizing as a language learner than going out in the community with your for me, with my tie, and then accidentally offending someone or not being understood at all. So let's talk about now a little bit about why English can be a struggle. And you can write this in the chat or you can just speak it out. So what are some things that make English a little bit tough when we're talking about pronunciation specifically?
The inconsistency of vowel sounds.
Yes, you know, just 5 vowels, but so many different combinations and sounds. Good. Spelling doesn't match pronunciation, I see.
Vowel reduction in discourse.
Tell us more about that.
you want to know. So that was consonant reduction, but most of the vowels tend to center or be dropped in running speech. And when people are learning and teaching, sometimes they're using isolated words or they're making a soliloquy. It's not running speech. And then the other issue is speech on the telephone, because the bandwidth is so narrow that you might not get everything in there and you don't have the cue of the lips. Remember, when people look at someone speaking, they're using clues besides acoustics to understand them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of context you get when you're talking to someone in person that's missing when you're on the phone. Great, thank you.
Syllable stress, definitely.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, that sentence level stress, that word level stress, that relaxed speech when we're talking can be difficult for students to understand. Those are great. So I think you've mentioned pretty much all of these. There's lots of new sounds that might not be in a student's native language, right? And that means that they don't have the physical practice of making those sounds. They might not have put their tongue quite in that position or had their mouth do exactly that thing. I know in Thai, there's a sound no, and I couldn't even hear that sound and the difference between that and another letter. So, and then much less trying to make it. So that's another struggle. As you guys mentioned, spelling creates confusion. The stress is challenging. Stress is something I never thought about until I started teaching English. I know we don't talk like robots, but I was more thinking, like Thai's tonal, there's a lot of tonal languages, and it never occurred to me that we have some stress in our English language. And as you all talked about, that multiple vowel sound possibility. So how many sounds are there in English? Well, first, how many letters are there?
26.
Yeah, 26. And how many different sounds do those 26 letters make? Any guesses?
I don't know.
So there are those 26 letters combined to make 44 different sounds. Yay! And just to give you an idea of where we fit with some other languages, you can see that we're not the worst, but we're definitely on the high side. If you have Spanish speakers, they just have 24 sounds. Okay, so just like we talked about, there's lots of sounds in English that just aren't going to be found in our students' native language, no matter where they're from. And so one thing we need to be aware of is just the physical practice that goes into it. I don't know how many of you played a sport. I did softball. I didn't do it very well, but I did do it. And one of the things I had to learn was how to throw a ball. So I thought I knew how to throw the ball and that was going really well for me, just, throwing like this. But in practice, they taught to bring the elbow back, the arm back, the elbow forward, and then releasing the ball. And to be honest, it got worse before it got better. But it took practice, it took repetition, it took doing it over and over again for it to become more and more automatic. And that's the same thing that we need to do with our students. So we need to, at times, explicitly tell them where to place their tongue, what to do with their lips, if they're using their vocal cords. And then we need to provide that practice for them, because sometimes, for some cultures, sticking your tongue between your teeth and making that noise, that feels weird and awkward and silly. And so part of it is kind of getting over that. My next thing is that you should teach where you live. So here we have a box of coloring implements. So would you say that this word has 1 or 2 syllables? And you can put this in the chat or speak it out or show with a hand. Is this a 1 or 2 syllable word for you? All right, I see some people saying 1, some people saying 2. And for me, this is definitely, I'm with the 1 syllable crowd here, the minority in here so far. For me, this is crayon. For other people, it's crayon. For other people, it's crown. And it really depends on your local accent and where you live. And you may look at this chart and say, well, I don't say it. I don't say it the way my region says it, right? Accents are fine. We all have them. Teach with your accent. And I also like to say at this point, once again, you know, we're not trying to get rid of our students' accent. We're just trying to make them more understandable when they're speaking out in the community. So we're going to start with vowels. And they are very challenging, as we talked about. So we have those 5 letters, A, E, I, O, U. How many different vowel sounds do you all think we have? And again, you can fill this out in the chat. I see 12, 14, 12. All right, so we have about 15 different vowel sounds, which is kind of crazy. And if you're from certain parts of the East Coast, you might have 16, and we'll talk more about that later. And like you all mentioned, when we were talking about the struggles with English, there's different confusions. And just to bring you, so we also have Y and W at the top. So I think we all learned in school A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. W also works together with the vowel. So think about B-O-W, bow or bow. That's why that guy's up there. All right, so we can have one vowel sound with many different sounds. So here, you know, the vowel O, what could be easier? But we have O, so, on, of, women, work. So yes, that's challenging, right? And then we have different combinations of vowels that can have the same sounds. So here we have that sound with dress, friend, bread, any, and said. And there's some of these, we are so used to saying them, we don't even think about the fact that they're not quite matching up, right? So it becomes very difficult to talk to our students about vowel sounds. I know in the past I've tried to use short vowel sound, long vowel sound, but that doesn't always connect, right? And it's hard to represent it with just a letter because, as we can see, one letter can have so many different sounds. This is where the color vowel chart comes in to help our students. So this is a tool to help with stress and sound. And this is not something that Intercombio came up with. We have it in all of our books, but that's really through a partnership that we have with English Language Training Solutions. So this was created by Karen Taylor and Shirley Thompson, and it was really designed to help English language learners learn these vowel sounds. So let's kind of dive in here. So the first thing we want to look at to be able to use it is to look for stress. So in every word, there's one syllable that's the primary stress syllable in the word. And again, this is something I have to tell you that when I first started was very difficult for me to hear. I'm not musical or rhythmic, so I feel like I have a little bit harder time hearing it maybe than some other people. I'm going to take you through it. So for one syllable words, it's easy, great. And by that stress syllable, I should say, I mean, it's the vowel sound in that syllable is stretched out a little bit longer. It might be a little bit louder, a little bit higher. So when you have more than one syllable, there's just one syllable that's stressed. So here it would be amazing, amazing. And then when we have phrases, we also have one word that's stressed. So stretched out a little bit more than the rest. So here, out of this world, out of this world. So this is something we want to practice with our students, and you might need to practice with yourself first. So here's an activity we have in our books. It says to underline the stressed syllable in words. So you can see this first one, we have that first syllable, library, library. When I'm doing this, I really play around with it with my students. And so I would say, is it weekend, weekend, or weekend, weekend, right? You can exaggerate it a little and play around with it to try and find, oh, well, I thought I fixed this slide. So it's weekend. But we would just go through each one of these. And again, I really emphasize play with this and not taking it too seriously for yourself or for your students. Stress is important because it can change word meaning. So you can see here at the bottom, we have record, record. And then when we change that stress, record, record. Same thing here at the bottom, produce, produce, and produce, produce. So stress is really important. And often I find that my students, when I'm not understanding them, and I can't pinpoint what the reason why is, it is a matter of word stress, right? And practicing this part of it. So I really do encourage, even if this is hard for you to hear, to start looking for it and teaching it. And, oops, just one more time, that slide was so good. And when in doubt, look it up. So I will not lie. Anytime I add a word to my presentation or even with my class, I just look it up on dictionary.com. And what's nice is you don't have to know about that long accent line. They bold the accented syllable or the stressed syllable. So I encourage you to do that as well. All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about word stress, I'm going to introduce you to this color vowel chart. Basically, each one of these boxes, each one of these colors represents a vowel sound. And this gives you a way to talk about and refer back to the vowel sound first of all. So instead of trying to say long E or short E or give a bunch of examples, we can just say this is the green T-E sound. So each one of these has a color and a keyword that represents that vowel sound. And so here it's green T-E. And you're going to see me using my hand a lot. I'm using my hand, I'm putting it out on that stressed syllable, green T-E. And this is something I really encourage you to have your students do. Connecting with that physical movement is really important for helping them remember. And by putting out their hand, you kind of automatically stress that syllable. Weekend, weekend, right? All right, so that's the first part. We've got a color. We've got,
Right.
Yes, go ahead.
Is there, oh, maybe you're going to get to this. Is there a reason for the different sizes of the boxes?
No, that was just for fitting them. That's a great question, though.
I was just wondering, like the cup of mustard is huge. I was like,
It is, and I think a part of it is just where it is in the mouth. So to kind of highlight, and I had never thought about that before, but I'm going to go ahead and hazard a guess that it is about your jaw placement. So our vowel sounds are primarily made with our jaw by how closed and how open, and then our lips. So you can see over here, we start, and I did Linda Mood Bell as a literacy tutor, which is a different program, but we used to call these ones over here all along this side, the smiles, because you smile up here with green T-E, silver pin I, A, ah, right? And as we're going down, we're dropping our jaw. So starting up here, I'm just going to do the vowel sounds. E, I, A, ah. See how far our jaw dropped once we got down to the bottom? So in Linda Mood Bell, we call this the opens. So we're going from our smiles down to the open along here. And then we're curving back up. And as we curve back up along this line, once again, our jaw comes up, but we're getting into circles or rounds here at the top. So we go from ah. I'm going to skip this one for right now. Oi, or, o, oo. So our jaw is getting more and more closed and our lips are coming together over on this side. And then we get here's and here's And so I think that potentially this one is taking up more room because of where it is in the jaw, kind of a mid drop, you know, going It's just how far our jaw is dropped, I think, is for the bigness of the box to make an attempt at answering your question, Jake.
Hi there. Can I say
Yes.
something? Hi, this is Karen. I'm from the color vowel chart.
Oh,
Can I
well,
answer that
Karen,
question?
please.
Yeah, just briefly. I won't take any time, but the
go
size of the mustard vowel there is because it also represents schwa. And so schwa can happen to any vowel that we have surrounding it. And so it's touching all of the others. It's also the most frequently used sound in English. So that's all.
Yeah, no, oh, thank you, Karen. I really appreciate that. Yeah, is such an easy sound for us to make. And I always think, and Karen, you can correct me, that because it's so easy and we're so lazy as we're speaking, that it creeps in to a lot of our words. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, Karen.
No, that's cool. It's exactly. I mean, we use it a lot, and I would just say it's not laziness. It's just the way that we work. It's the way English works.
All right.
So it's an important one. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to go through and we're going to do each one of these color vowels with the word. And I really encourage you to repeat after me. And even though you may feel silly doing it, it will be valuable for you. So we're going to go through each one now. And I have a little hand. Okay, so this is green tea E.
Green tea E.
Good. Silver pin I.
Silver
Silver
pen.
it.
Good. Gray day A.
Gray
Day
day.
A.
Red pepper E.
Red pepper E.
And I'd love to see those hands going, everybody. Black cat ah.
Black cat.
Ah.
Olive sock ah.
Olive
sock,
ah.
And this here is the 16th sound, and I don't say this one correctly. This is Auburn dog. Or is there anyone who can make this sound for us?
Auburn dog. What?
Yeah, it has a little more to it. Karen, can you make the sound?
Sure. Actually, he's right. You know, you just say it the way that you say it. And if you are a person who makes a different sound, then you make that sound. But basically, everybody can say it the way they say it. So I would say Auburn dog. If I'm really modeling for you the difference, it's Auburn dog.
There we go. So for me, these two are the same, olive sock and Auburn dog. But for some people, like Karen said, it's different. And here we have turquoise, toy, oi.
Turquoise, toy, oi.
Orange door, or.
Orange door, or.
Rose boat, o.
Rose boat, oh.
Wooden hook,
Wooden hook,
Blue moon, oo.
Blue moon, ooh.
Purple shirt,
Purple shirt,
A cup of mustard, a.
A cup of mustard,
White tie, I.
White tie,
Brown cow, ow.
brown cow.
Great. All right, so we're going to put these two things together. So when we're using the color vowel chart, we're really matching the color with that stressed syllable. So here we have baby, baby. So is that stress on the first or second syllable? First. Good. Baby. What color would we match with baby?
Gray day.
Good. So we would do gray day, baby, A. Okay, and how about this one? Here we have, is it classroom, classroom, or is it classroom, classroom? First or second syllable?
First.
Yeah, first. So we're going to match that with black cat. So black cat classroom, ah. And what we're seeing here is we're getting that practice, right? That muscle practice so that it becomes more natural when students are doing it.
Can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm getting too into this. Maybe this is for Karen. Why aren't the orange and the purple together? It seems like the two R's would be right next to each other.
Hi. So I thought I'd join from, there we go. Let me get out of this other one. Oh, Lord. Okay, we are trying to kill the phone. Okay, so hi. Yeah, the R control in R, I apologize. Let me get out of this. My goodness. Mute. Nope. Okay. Hi. Thank you. All right. So just briefly, the R that you see in orange door, it moves to purple. Purple is not itself. So it's the destination of orange. So it's orange door, or if you draw a line from orange as I move up to purple, you can kind of see what the function is there. And then that starts an awareness about the other R controls that you can move from red to purple, air, or gray to purple, air, or green to purple, or any other color. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Wait,
there's a
no,
lot,
hang on.
there's quite a bit more to discover as you get, you're right, like it invites you into noticing interesting things about the chart.
R.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to
I
show
wanna learn
you the website for, actually, Karen has a ton of resources and she has a much more in-depth training as well that you can do on this. So I encourage you to go to the website I have here at the bottom, colorval.com, to find out more. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of practice here. And we'll just go ahead and do the first two just for sake of time. So here is our word, soup. And this is one syllable, so the stress is easy, right? And you should definitely just be underlining the vowel in the word, the letters creating that vowel sound. So soup, soup. What color would you do with soup? And if I was doing this with my class and this was the first time, I might just give them a few options to choose from so as not to overwhelm them. But I see some answers in the chat. Blue, yeah, so, whoops. The sound here is blue, moon, soup, ooh. Okay, and now we'll go to taco, taco. Where's the stress? Is it the first syllable or the second syllable in taco? Whoops. Yes, it's in the first. Perfect. And so what sound would you put with that first syllable? Taco, taco. Olive sock, yes. Whoops. Yeah, so we have taco, taco. And remember that olive sock and auburn dog for me are the same, so either one could work. Okay, and I'm just going to click through the rest of these. We're going to skip this one just to make sure we have time for everything. Okay, I see I need to get rid of some annotation here real quick. Let me just clear this. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what to do and say when we're doing this. So the first thing we want to do is find that stressed syllable and underline the vowel sound. So in this word, it's potato, potato. Then we want to take a look at that color vowel chart and figure out where it is, what color it matches. So in this case, it's gray day. And then finally, to increase that muscle memory, we want to say the color with that key word, the new word, and the vowel sound. So in this case, gray day, potato, A. Okay, let's practice this one time together. So again, we want to underline the vowel in the primary stressed syllable. So here's pencil, pencil. So is this going to be is the first syllable stressed or the second syllable? Yep, and I see some ones coming in. Exactly. All right, and now we want to look at our color vowel chart and see which color do we think is represented in that first syllable. You can kind of experiment with it. So I see some silver pin and some red pepper. Yeah, and for me, it's red pepper, right? It's red pepper, pencil, eh. However, for my husband, it is silver pin. So he would say silver pin, pencil, eh. And again, you're just teaching with your accent and how you speak, right? So in our classes, it would look a little different when we're practicing that muscle memory aspect. He'd be saying silver pin, pencil, eh. And I would be saying red pepper, pencil, eh. All right, so those are the steps when we're introducing it. So let's do this with our name. So my name is Gracie, Gracie. So my name is Gray Day, Gray Day, Gracie A. Okay, and I want to just take 5 minutes to go into the breakout room. So Allison's going to set those up for us. Take a picture of this with your phone, this color vowel chart, so that you can be looking at it, or just real quick identify what color goes with your name. And you're going to join, I think we'll do whatever groups Allison thinks, maybe 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, I was going to put 4 unless you really want to be in a group as well. Would you like to join a group, or I'm going to start creating these?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need to join the group. So
Okay.
we'll go ahead and do 4 in each room. So practice with your name, Jake. You have it a little easier in some ways since yours is just 1 syllable. And go ahead and introduce yourself and pick a color for your name and teach your group how to say your name.
Okay, we're going to go in breakout groups in 3, 2, 1. It might take a minute for everyone to go to their breakout groups.
To disappear.
Yep, they do disappear. I think Greer, you're in a breakout group as well. If you should see the message. There we go.
All right. Nice.
And I think maybe as co-hosts, you can join if you open the breakout. Well, I can join at least the breakout group.
The co-host can join too. Let me see.
Okay, I'm gonna put here breakout groups.
Yes, I can.
So 5 minutes, you said?
Yeah, so we can close it at like 8:40. It's a little less than 5.
Okay.
I always like to use the breakout rooms, even if it feels like there's not quite enough time, just so people can meet each other.
Exactly.
Even if they're just talking, I think it's good.
I wanted to ask as well, is there I think you mentioned at the beginning the survey or the presentation. Do you have that link to share?
Oh, yes.
Someone was asking about it.
Yes. Copy here. Okay, copy. I'll put it in the chat. I know right now just you can get it, but then you could grab it and
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
oh, I guess I can just send it straight to you. Whoops. Or that didn't work. Okay, let me try again.
Okay.
We'll see. Oh, okay, I am back already. Okay,
Perfect.
have it.
I do.
All right. Mhm.
Black cat, Allison. Black cat, Allison. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, sometimes it's not intuitive right away, but it took me a while. And I still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I've actually, Karen has been to my university. I went to AU, so American University. Karen's been there, and Robin Barr has helped the color vowel. So I've heard it lots of times. It's just it's been a long time since I've since
know.
grad school since I've talked about it.
Yeah, I know it is.
Okay, it's now 10:40. I think if they're in there for 3 more minutes, that will be 5 minutes of good time.
Okay. Are there other presentations today, or is this the only one for today?
I think this is usually we only have one per day, or at least once a week, if not every other week. And our SIG, our special interest group, has a lot of events as well. Sometimes they coincide, but not with the webinars. So
Nice.
yeah, the webinars don't coincide. Just to give everyone a chance to not to have to choose which one they want to go to.
Maximize it. So
Exactly.
10, that makes sense.
Someone asked a question. I don't know what that means. Okay, 1 more minute. Great day. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close the rooms.
Sounds good.
Okay, oh, it gives them a minute, so.
That's fine. I'll skip a couple slides here.
Oh, hello.
Welcome back, Darlene. Did you pick your color?
Yeah, I did green T, Darlene E.
Nice. Perfect. My name is Easy, which is nice. Although this is my middle name, but it's actually the same for my first name, Rachel or Gracie. So grade A. Welcome back. Welcome back. Is everyone back now, Allison? Maybe not. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed just a little opportunity to get to know each other and practice with this. I'm just gonna briefly go over this. So we talked about the steps. So we recommend picking 1 to 2 vowel sounds to work on each class. I find it can be overwhelming trying to teach all of the colors in one class. And then you just want to follow those steps. So look at those vocabulary words, underline that vowel in the primary stressed syllable, identify which words have those sounds, and have students say the color, the keyword, the new word, and the vowel sound. Eventually, what you want to do, and here's another way you could do it, is just work on 2 sounds at a time. Rather than working with your vocabulary words, you might pick 2 sounds that your students struggle with. So for our Spanish speakers, the difference between green tea E and silver pin I can be one that they really struggle with. And so you could also work it that way. So use what's in your lesson, your vocabulary words, or you can highlight some sounds that you really want them to work on. Ultimately, the goal is that you would be able to, with all your vocabulary words, have students identify that primary stressed syllable and equate that, match that to one of the colors, and keep a list. And by keeping a list, they can start to see some patterns in spelling as well. So you can see here with red pepper, we have best friend said any bread, and we can see all the different ways that we get that eh sound. Okay, we're going to move on from those vowel sounds, and we're going to take a look at some consonant sounds now. So there's 21 consonants, and how many sounds do you think are made with those 21 letters? And you can just type this in the chat. So there are 29 sounds that those 21 letters make. So we know that different combinations make different sounds. We have some challenges here. So one consonant can have different sounds. We have attack and pretend on one side. And so here we have the t. And on the other side, we have butter and computer, d. So that can be challenging. And we can have different combination of consonants that have the same sound, right? So here we have j with large, major, soldier, and nudge. So once again, we have different spellings for the sh sound. So you can see here we're working on sh, shop. And we have position and best and responsible, assistant, schedule, mission, passionate, and should. So for this exercise, the teacher would be saying those words and the students would be repeating it and then putting those words with the sh sound in the box. And then we can look at how many different ways that sh sound was spelled, right? So we have the SH, the SS, and the TI. So this is just another way to kind of start looking at those consonant sounds. And these are all words that came up in the lesson, in this lesson or previous lesson. So just keep an eye out for those kind of patterns when you see a certain sound being repeated. Minimal pairs can be a fun way to practice with these different consonant sounds. So minimal pairs are words that differ in only one sound. So for example, choose and shoes, right? We have this resource, Pronunciation Fun with Pictures, and this is just a book of minimal pairs. They have the mouth picture. So once again, just like the color vowel chart, just like we talked about that motor practice and explaining what to do with your tongue, lips, and teeth and your vocal cords, we have these pictures really showing students, and then, whoops, and then we just have these lake, rake, lice, rice, fly, fry, belly, and berry. And these are sounds that are often difficult for our Asian students. In Thailand, the R was a really hard sound for them. They actually had a similar sound in their language, but over time they had just started saying it like L. So introducing these, you can go through and first talk about how to make the sound ch. Today we're going to practice ch, 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 and then go through the words ch, choose, chop, catch, watch. And then you can introduce the other sound, sh, sh, and shoes, shop, cash, and wash. And then you can work on comparing. So choose versus shoes. And I find that minimal pairs are really good if you find that your student's having a hard time producing a sound. This is a good way to take a step back and see if they can hear it first. So before we're really working on production, we're just working on if they can hear the difference between choose and shoes. So you can see there's a 1 in this column. So in a group class situation, I'd say do a 1 if I say choose and a 2 if I say shoes. And then choose, choose, shoes, and go on like that. And so basically this is seeing if they can hear it first, and then we can work on that production. Another way you could do this is, you know, have them hold up a CH or an SH to show which one they hear. In a group class, having them show is much better than having them say it out, just because they'll just copy whatever someone else is saying, or one person will answer it and everyone else will just sit back and let them go. So, and if you're working one-on-one, you can just have them point. And you obviously don't need a book full of minimal pairs. There's tons of lists online with minimal pairs. You can pull pictures so that they know what they're talking about. It's really helpful to have concrete nouns like shoes that are easy to show. We have some practice videos on our website if you would like to take a look at those at intercambio.org. All right, so now we've talked about consonants, we've talked about vowel sounds. Let's just take really quick a look at some fun everyday tools that we all probably have around our house. So the first one is rubber bands. So you can use rubber bands, just and Allison's got the rubber band ball, to show where that mouth position is if you wanted to. So like beat, bit, right? Where our lips are coming more together, or bat, but, right? Just another way to visualize it and connect it for our students. You can also use this instead of doing the hand for the primary stress syllable. You can pull the rubber band during that stress. And then we can also use mirrors and cell phones. So this is really handy for when we're practicing pronunciation. And most of our students these days have the phone. The nice thing about Zoom is that when they're on Zoom, they can also be looking at their mouth position. So many times for producing these consonant sounds, I'll have them put their mouth in position first and then produce the sound. So for example, you can see in the first picture, put your tongue between your teeth. And in the next picture, we see, oh, and that way they're looking, they're seeing themselves do it, and then they're producing it. And if you're working one-on-one and you can kind of sit next and be looking in the mirror or the phone at the same time, they can see your mouth and their mouth. Another thing that's helpful with smartphones is for recording. So you can record students at the beginning of the term and at the end of the terms, reading the same paragraphs so they can see their progress. You can have them, you know, send you a WhatsApp message or something like that to practice their pronunciation. It can also be helpful. I have a one-on-one student, and when we're going over the vocabulary, we'll record me saying the vocabulary and then I'll pause so that she can practice it at home. Can also use a piece of paper to show some of that airflow. So I recommend if you use this, holding it at the top because the paper moves a little more easily, but and students know that they're doing it right if they're moving that piece of paper. All right, and then there's voiced and unvoiced. So we have consonant pairs where you're doing the exact same thing with your mouth, but one of those is unvoiced, or sometimes I say quiet, and the other is voiced or noisy. So for B and P, you're doing the exact same thing with your mouth. ba, p, b, p, b. The only difference is you're not using your vocal cords with the P. So you can have students even put their hand on their throat just to connect to what their body is doing. B, 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 p, p, p. You can feel the difference as the vocal cords are moving. Here's some more that are like this, and v, k, and g, s, z, t, d, ch, j. So this is just another way to help students feel what their mouth and their throat is doing and really take advantage of getting that mouth position right and then being able to produce those two different sounds. Here's just some final tips before we go. Once again, if you see students struggling to produce a sound, take a step back and see if they can hear it first. You know, you might just need to work on that first. Sometimes it can be helpful to start from the end of the word and work your way back. The next thing is to practice, practice, practice. So one, you want to practice in the session, but then you want to come back to those words and those sounds at future sessions and kind of review them, right? Once is not going to be enough. And you also want to know when to quit. I was trying to learn Spanish with the Rosetta Stone and I couldn't get a word. And it wouldn't let me move on until I got it. And I just gave up. And so we don't want to frustrate our students. You know, if you're working on especially a particular sound, just spend 5 to 10 minutes on it. If they're still struggling, note their progress and let them know you're going to come back and keep working on it. All right, so we went over a lot of things today. So I just recommend picking 1 to 2 sounds to practice and or a tool to practice with. Are there any questions before we go? I think we've got about 4 minutes left here. And you can go ahead and write in the chat, or you can just speak it out if you have something. You're very welcome, Sherry. Thanks for coming. Oh, and the survey link is now in the chat, so you can go ahead and click on that if you would like to receive a copy of this presentation. So thank you so much for spending a Saturday morning where you could be relaxing here with us, and have a great weekend.
Before we go, if there's no questions right now, so because we've recorded this session, we'll send it to you afterwards. Look out for that email on WATESOL email, and also we will upload it to YouTube if that's okay, Gracie. We'll ask you for that later on. So with that link, you'll be able to watch this session as well in the future.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Nice, Jake. I think you'll love the web.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Gracie.
Hi, if I could just put a plug in for you, if you don't mind, I just want to say for those of you that work in adult ed, when I was managing a program, the Intercambio books are wonderful and they're really affordable. So, you know, if you haven't used them before, it's a whole set of adult ed that is leveled and, you know, it's all in one package, and then you have the pronunciation book with it. So if your program is working on a shoestring budget, I highly recommend going that way. That's all.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
And what program isn't on a shoestring budget?
Exactly. And when I say adult ed, I mean basically any program that serves immigrants, you know, so whether it's at a community college or a church-based program, all of these, we used it at a community college. And so it was lovely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, Gracie, I really enjoyed it. It was really a great session.
All right, well, thank you. And thank you everyone for coming. And thank you, Karen, for bringing your expertise.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for presenting. Have a great day.
All right.
If you're still with us, I also put the Color Vowel website in the link for you. And I know this wasn't mentioned, but there is, I think if you have an Android, you can download Blue Canoe, which is the Color Vowel app that I've used before with students. So if your students love love their telephone, they can use that.
All right. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go.
Yep. So Amor, Michael, Neil, Sherry, thanks for joining. We will close this session link in a couple of minutes though. So unless you want to hang out with us for a while. All right, but thank you again, Gracie.
Thank
Yeah,
you
you're
for
welcome.
all your effort and for your Saturday morning teachers meeting here. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.